All right. So there's a door. We'll take it off so it's out of our way. Just lifts up. The hinges just lift off. So inside this equipment rack, there are 2 Ethernet switches and 7 devices which are called gateways. And what the gateways do is the gateways receive the information from the paradigm processor in that rack and the control board on the desk. They aggregate it together and they send it out to all the lighting fixtures. Each of these gateways has 4 outputs. Each output goes to one single DMX outlet on the grid or on the floor around the wall. There actually is pretty much no maintenance to be done here other than be aware this exists. And if all of the lights on the Ethernet switch start flashing in unison about 1 second at a time, call for help.
Get ready to buy a new switch.
Other than that, all of the devices should be connected to some port in the Ethernet switch, but it doesn't matter which one goes where. They're all co-equal.
And the Ethernet switch does provide power for those gateways. So if they get unplugged from the switch, the lights will go off and the screen will go blank, because they are using power over Ethernet.
Example. Start. Plug it back in. Come back to life automatically.
So this is basically just, we know that it exists, we do not touch. It is set up, it's fine.
Right, it's a link in the chain,
Yeah.
but it's not one that needs active
Good.
maintenance. But if
Okay.
something stops working, someone might say, can you go look at the gateway, or which receptacle number are you plugged into?
What is this called?
That is
The
called
box.
I would call it the auxiliary equipment rack, or the gateway rack, or the data rack. It doesn't have a formal name.
Okay.
Is the element going to the paradigm, or is the element coming to the switch here?
Well, the element's going on the network, and the network is all aggregated at the switch here.
The other thing I want to point out is, remember, each of those data outlets had a number X1, X5, X17, X12. You can see that each of these displays is labeled X1, X2, X3, X4. That's where the other end of that wire lands.
So if you decided you needed another universe out there, and you wanted it on X27, then you can see where which gateway X27 is in.
And it's the same means that we use to change the gateways over, and we just go through maintenance.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep. Yeah, but we just did the labels so that you could make it a little bit easier to find.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay.
That's good.
So while we're talking about console and network, the one thing that could trip you up is that the console plugs into the network in a jack that's underneath the table, but it's one of these Hubble jacks. It's not an ETC jack.
Okay.
The label on it does say, I think it says DMX, but there's 3 other jacks around it that go to the building network, and if you plug into the building network, that's not going to talk to this.
Should we put a label on it that says Lightboard Network?
I would.
Yeah,
I'd put
okay.
something.
Show me
there.
that, show me the thing.
Let's look at the thing.
It's right behind that gang box.
Oh, not too bad. So it's the lower right jack. That in IT style fashion, that /DMX is supposed to be like the universal application for lights. But otherwise, it looks an awful like any number of 100,000 other plugs in this.
Yeah, totally.
So the bottom one,
Bottom right. Yep.
the one that is actually plugged into right
Correct. That's the one. That's the one and only.
now. Okay.
The lighting system network is completely independent from the rest of the campus network. It's just its own
Good.
thing.
All right.
Who knows what time it is right now? Let's see.
It is
2:53. What time do you have to?
No, I have class at 4, but I have to do a few things first.
Oh, we should be okay. We should be okay.
Yeah.
That's why it was like rude to everybody getting them
So
out.
Mike, I'm gonna go to the truck and get the labeler and label these receptacles while you're talking about the,
All right.
about the boards.
So this is an element lighting control board from ETC. This is extremely similar to what they have over in the theater department. It's the little brother to the best. To getting one of those. Perfect. So there are a few of these around, and there are people very accessible who know how to use this equipment already. So there are a few resources. That you should have.
Yeah, because part of the group working in here is going to be from art and design. No background.
But a lot of the theater students really love to teach the programming stuff, like me, so, you know,
Great.
feel free to call us.
So the connections on this console are pretty simple actually. So they're simple. There's a monitor connection. It supports one or two monitors. It supports either one or two monitors. One is really all you need in this particular application. And then there is a network cable that connects it to the rest of the lighting system. And I've also plugged in a base. So that's it for connections. The power button for the console is in the upper right corner. It's pressed to turn it on. When you want to turn it off, you can press it again, and it'll ask if you really want to shut down. Press power button a second. I'm going to say no for the moment. The screen that you get when you boot up shows you current control channels. There are 40 channels corresponding to 40 light fixtures in the show that we currently have going. You could add more fixtures, you could add more channels if you needed to. This show file, which I'll save on the board, has a list of the fixtures that are out there, the addresses and the personalities that they've already been set to. That gives you kind of a good default starting base. If you were interested in doing a virtual magic sheet for them,
I'd be happy.
might not be a bad plan to think about that. Virtual magic sheet is a graphical layout of the space, and depending on how the light plot and where lights actually end up getting hung, it might be handy to have sort of a pictorial guide that's built into the console. So there may be some possibilities there. So what you see on the screen is a tile. Each one corresponds to a fixture. And there's a number below some of them in this dark area, and that corresponds to the current brightness or current intensity, 0% to 100%. So if I want to grab a channel and turn it on, I can say 35 at 75%. Enter. Oh good, there's actually something there. And that's that psych light down at the end.
Oh.
And I can make it brighter or dimmer by rolling this little wheel. I can also type in a new percentage. I can say at 50%, enter, and it just changes its intensity. So,
Just wait till he starts playing with
Yeah,
the
you
colors.
guys do this all the time.
But we're like,
so as currently set up, the first chunk of 10 channels are the ellipsoidal fixtures, the hard edge fixtures. The next chunk of 20 are the par fixtures, the soft ones. And then 31 through 40, that last group of 10 are the psych fixtures going around, wrapping around the green screen. So if I say 31 through 40 at full, enter, there's our psych. And if this little pop-up isn't showing, you can hit Moving Light Control or ML Control, and you can change color and a few other things.
Oh my
So with
gosh.
the mouse,
For all the subtle degrees.
I can take that and make it green, or make it purple.
oh my goodness.
Or nice deep blue. Gosh,
I'm really
It'll look better on a
excited.
side.
This is way more complicated than I thought it was going to be.
I knew it was going to be complicated,
cool.
but
It's cooler than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. Sorry.
yeah, there's a lot of layers to it, but you can really find a lot of flexibility to it once you get down to it. If I grab another group of fixtures, let's say 21 through 30, same thing. I can choose the color, choose an intensity.
Ooh.
There's the power lights. These are the brilliantly colored ones. They're called vivid fixtures.
That's why they're sort of
Blotchy.
resin garage.
These little controls that work their way off to the right allow us to adjust the individual hue and saturation values a little more finely than with the controls. If I want the saturation to be a little bit deeper, I can roll this up a little bit and kind of stop.
So you're rolling it with the mouse there?
Yeah,
You
I'm
just
just
click.
clicking and pushing up with the mouse.
What about that rolly thing there?
This?
Yeah.
That only does the intensity. But I can decrease and brighten the intensity.
When you're putting in the. Do you want to try to place
A lot
this
of
on and
these
get there?
boards are, number one, they're super, like the button that you see that you think it should do this, usually does. So, for example, if you want to record a cue, that will fire that, all that stuff. The keystroke is record cue, and then whatever cue number.
Contracted out to.
So it's really self-explanatory. If you think it should be able to do it, it probably does.
I just relied on that.
And I'm going to be helping Joellen, and so
Yeah, he'll have a year off, right?
yeah,
Oh, I stepped right in
you
front
get
of
it?
you.
I did.
Oh, that's
I'm
terrific.
already approved, so
Whoa, well,
you guys have full access to me for as much as you'd like.
This is going to be very useful.
Was that all the 70s or all the profiles?
I haven't done the profiles yet. So the profile fixtures are have that color set that's tuned a little more towards